Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We've played every mission of the mainline Halo video games, and now we're playing every mission from the rest of the games of the franchise in chronological order. Each episode will be discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Not On My Watch mission from Halo Wars 2 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. You can also receive a free audiobook trial by visiting audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. This episode, we're debriefing the Gatecrashers mission from the Operation Spearbreaker DLC in Halo Wars 2. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Did you know DLC stands for Digital Love and Caressing?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Doing large crashes.
Doing lots of crack.
Dual loathing cars. No.
Dual loaded
This
cocks.
is going terrible. There you go.
You guys are way better at this than me. I'm struggling with a D word right now, and my name starts with one.
David likes cock.
I was waiting for it. I was like, I can say this now.
Last mission was The Last Stand. While Professor Anders scrambled to disable the Halo's weapon systems, Red Team defended the control room from one final banished onslaught. Atriox threw everything he had at Captain Cutter and the Spirit of Fire Marines, but he eventually ran out of time. Professor Anders was able to install the communications device, eject the banished from the ring, and enter slipspace to get help. Atriox was left stranded on the surface of Installation 00, while Isabel and the Spirit of Fire kept watch from above. Now, in Gatecrashers, a month has passed with no word back from Earth. During that time, the Banished have been making moves, but it's unclear exactly what they've been up to. Boomerang Company, an elite force of ODSTs, are deployed to the Ark's surface to investigate a location that's being shrouded by a cloaking device. The date of the game is May 1st, 2559. Ooh, here we go. DLC time, guys.
What?
Did
There's
they
more?
announce DLC?
Yes.
Like it was like you're gonna get DLC no matter what, and it's coming. I think they didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they talked about... I think there was a preview for, like, Awakening the Nightmare and stuff initially.
Well, I'm remembering there was a season pass.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And they
was, yeah.
talked about Awakening the Nightmare and stuff like that.
Well, in the season pass, it only included Gatecrashers. It didn't include Awakening the Nightmare.
I think it had all of the,
But it had all the
leaders,
leaders.
most of the
leaders.
leaders, yeah.
Yeah. Awakening the Nightmare was separate, though. Separate purchases, from what I remember. But, yeah, so welcome to the first DLC of Halo.
Halo, yeah.
Which is a weird thing. I mean, they've had DLC in terms of
They've had
multiplayer
map packs.
maps. But, like, Spartan Ops was a free thing.
Oh,
But,
I guess
so,
that's
yeah,
also. Yeah.
So this is the first paid campaign DLC.
Anyone
pretty
got
wild.
that Halo 2 map pack disc still? Because I know I do.
I got it. You better believe it.
All right, I will do all... well, there's no dialogue at the beginning, which is a little weird.
No
we do have our
cutscenes.
intro cutscene thingy, and we'll go through that. We'll let David take us through that, and then the beginning of the mission.
I thought that felt weird though. Just the total silence of the screen loading. I was like, because you're used to a bit of banter.
Right. The next mission does have it, but the first one is weird. Just like the noise and then the silence. So let me just walk you through that stuff. Krista, we're just going to talk about the new units because there's pretty much everything at your disposal in this, as well as a bunch of new leader powers. So we'll talk about that stuff. And then David will take us into the mission from there. So let's see here. We have our mission summary is disable the cloaking field to expose the banished operation site. Then scouting report is Vaughn's ODST troops are armed with EMP ordnance to neutralize sentinels. Those things are pretty badass. Did you guys use them at all? Those EMP, like the Y ability?
I did. I used it as many times as I could.
They came in pretty handy.
Yeah, the delay on it's a bit much though sometimes.
What do you mean?
Like you press Y to use it,
the delay,
and then by the time it launches, it's like sometimes you gotta hit it super early. You kind of have to, which is kind of good because you kind of have to, a bit more tactical when you think about when you're using it, and not just try and spam it. But it was cool. I liked it. It was really handy.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, it was like, okay, come on. I thought I hit the EMP. Where's the EMP?
Yeah. I kind of wish it was I kind of wish it was like something on the unit rather than something that came from the Spirit of Fire, because then that's more like a leader power thing. I kind of wish
like
they
a
had
sticky
like
grenade or something
grenades
like
or a device or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a good point.
Would make the unit a bit more unique. But anyhow,
agreed. Objectives are defeat the Retriever Sentinel, which we'll talk about later. Activate the central terminal. Capture the control towers to deactivate the cloaking field. That's kind of the main thing we're doing during this mission. We also need to recon the area to discover what the Banished are planning and regroup with India Company's forces. I probably read those in backwards order, but that's how they're listed. So anyway, optional objectives are rescue India Company's captured Wolverines, find and defend India Company's Nightingale. Then we need to kill both Goliaths, and then also activate all banished hollow projectors. Those are all optional, but they give you more points. The bonus objectives are eliminate controller sentinels, all 8 of them. Well, there actually might be more, but you just need to eliminate 8 to get the bonus objective. And then lure sentinels near banished buildings to destroy them. That one's kind of weird. Did you guys even mess around with that at all, Krista?
I never even noticed it.
Yeah, I ended up getting all the objectives because I make that my mission each mission, but that was a little weird. You can definitely do it though. You just as soon as you encounter them, you just kind of pull them back to either one of those little bases that are out on the map or one of the main bases, and they'll start attacking it, which is pretty slick.
You're crazy.
The last bonus objective is use hollow decoy to distract controller sentinels. We finally get to learn how to use hollow decoy. The whole, like the second half of our season on Halo Wars 2, we've mentioned Halo decoy. What the hell is that? But now they give us a really good reason to use it, and they explain it a little bit better. So that comes in handy. But you need to use that multiple times against the controller sentinels, 10 times. And I'm not exactly sure if it's like 10 units or it like needs to fire at 10 decoys, like gets tricked 10 times. That might need to be what happened. So anyway, the computer just figures that out for you. So just keep using that if you want to get that bonus objective. Part time is 45 minutes. This is a long one.
It's a real long one.
This is probably the longest part time that we've encountered.
And I think this is why like Spearbreaker can get away with having only 2 missions, because they're long missions with multiple stages. Like this is like a 3-stage mission.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when we looking back at this, like, oh, Spearbreaker's only 2 missions, but they are beefy. Scoring goals. Yeah.
It's kind of the weirdly designed mission, because I had confused the sniper mission with this one in my head, because I thought you only really controlled the one unit going around. I totally forgot completely about base building and all the extra units that are in this mission. Mm-hmm. But it feels kind of weird that like you're an ODST squad and yet you're base building and using a bunch of other units. I think maybe it would have been cooler if they kind of scaled it down and you were just the squad doing things, doing cool stuffs. But then I know it's an RTS.
Yeah, so because the ODSTs become useless pretty quickly once you start rolling out like tanks and shit.
How dare you, ODSTs?
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, you're right. I didn't do much with this unit, to be honest. Other than anyway, we'll talk later.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I will. I guess I'll comment here because you're like Vaughn. Is it Major Vaughn or I think it's Major Vaughn? He's the guy in this, at least in this mission, probably the next mission. He's like your leader of your ODSTs. he's the one that's calling out all the builds. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so whenever you build a supply pad or a garage or anything like that, he's the one that chimes in and says, supply pad built, whatever. Do you guys remember who did it on the original campaign?
No.
You know, there's always that voice in the background that's saying, you know, the garage is built, here we go.
The narrator.
So it's actually Cutter.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
I mean, it makes total sense.
I've never even bothered, like, I can't even remember how the voice sounds at all. I think I've just tuned it out.
Right, yeah, it's like this voice from behind, but it's Cutter, and his image pops up there and everything. So, but it's something that you easily just kind of blank on as you're going through. All right, we have scoring goals. Our 16. So gold is 160,000. Silver is 80 to 159, and bronze is 50 to 79. No skulls, but there are some Phoenix logs, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the mission.
We got Krista, two of them.
Yes, we do. Why don't you talk about the battlefield?
Hey, excited for this stuff. This stuff is cool. This is the stuff we use to do stuff. There's lots of stuff involved.
There's some new stuff to talk about.
There is. So the first new stuffs is, of course, our hero unit, which is Boomerang Company, which is like 5 ODSTs in a cluster.
Yeah, so this is weird. I'm going to sound like a big nerd, but I just learned about this. But like a company is like a larger band of units. I think it's like 130 or something like that. So Boomerang the company itself is like a bunch of
It's like a
Marines.
battalion.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna sound silly by, trying to figure all these out. But the fire team is specifically like this unit. That's kind of how, when I did a little research here on Halopedia, it's like that's the fire team. A squad, I think, is like up to 12 units. A platoon is 3 squads. And I'm forgetting how so somebody in the military probably knows all this stuff. So we apologize if we use the wrong terms, but our little hero unit is a fire term. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, because I was trying to figure out, like, Boomerang Company, that's a weird thing. That's like a cool name for an ODST squad, but I know we probably always misuse the term squad. But like the smallest unit here is just a fire team, so that's who they are.
Okay.
Awesome. So,
and this one, sorry, one more thing. And this one specifically is Sunray. It's called Sunray 1-1.
Oh, yes.
Sunray 1-1.
So Vaughn is one of the 5 in Sunray 1-1.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the next new thing that we get unit-wise is the Mantis, which can be accessed through the garage. So you can upgrade to include energy shielding, increases missiles, replaces chain gun with gauze repeater, and you can get a target designator on the Mantis. And this was kind of one of the selling points of this DLC, was the ability to have a Mantis. So there's a lot of Mantis, like, specific things that are in this. Okay, so to the Spirit of Fire abilities, which are very different. I opened it up and I'm like, God, Jesus Christ, what? Everything's different. And they don't even explain it. No, they don't say anything. They just expect you to know what you're doing. Which we don't. So, we get Restoration Drones 1, 2, and 3. Okay. That's normal. We got it. Scatter Bomb has replaced the missile barrage.
Archer missiles.
Archer missiles, yeah. So we got 1 and 2. It's
essentially the same thing.
It is, except it's instead of like in a line, it's like an AoE effect, area of effect.
I think it's from Halo Wars 1. I think Forge had it.
Okay.
We have Bunker Drop 1 and 2, which drops like a garrisonable structure, and it costs population.
I never used that.
I did it. It's cool. Yeah. I used it just because to use it. Yeah. It's like a little circular bunker. It's really cool. Like, the animation of it dropping down is really cool, and it's like, obviously it's a cool bunker that you can kind of just jump in straight away. I did it on one of the base takeovers, and I just dropped a bunch of ODSTs in there, and they'd like survived when like all my other units got wiped out. It was like awesome. They just stayed in that little bunker shooting dudes while I brought in reinforcements. It was really fun.
Damn.
I was really impressed with it.
Garrison units in this game are huge. Like they last they have so much more health.
They do.
Alright, the next thing is remote sensors, which increases line of sight for buildings and capture points. This is a passive ability. Super boring. Let's get to what we really want. ODST drop. Of course we have the ODST drop. Why wouldn't we? So we have that. We have Pelican Transport 1 and 2, which picks up your units and moves them around like in Halo 1. Or
Boring.
Halo Wars 1.
I totally forgot about this one.
Yeah.
I don't know what the upgrade is for that. I should look that up, but that's a weird...
who cares?
What do you upgrade in the
Faster?
transport?
Or maybe it can take more units or something?
Yeah, more units. Mech Overcharge 1 and 2 makes mantises temporarily invulnerable and faster, and I didn't use mantis. I used a couple mantises, but not enough to use this ability. That sounds overpowered as shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, it really does.
Speaking of overpowered as shit, the next one is my personal favorite of the new ones. Grizzly Battalion 1. Drops 3 Grizzly tanks, costs 2,720 supplies, 450 power, and is 30 units, and it is 100% worth it.
Hot damn.
It's so
glorious too. The animation is just like 3 uber pelicans with guns everywhere, like more guns than I've ever seen a pelican have for no reason. And it's just like there's 2 in the front, there's 2 in the sides. It's like there's 2 in the rear base. There's just guns coming out everywhere, and they dropped these 2 grizzlies. And I did it first like in an emergency, like my base was getting attacked by like a big ass fucking force. I was getting my ass kicked. I had my army on the other side of the map. I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Click. What do you think I'm gonna do, Krista? I'm gonna drop me some grizzlies right in the middle of this, and it was
Hell
awesome.
yeah.
It was glorious. It was so good.
I feel so left out. I didn't do it, and I didn't even know it was a thing. It was hidden at the top of the wheel, and I didn't even I didn't look at it. So I gotta go back and do this thing. It sounds amazing.
I did it twice. It's so good.
It's beautiful. Alright, so we have some banished units that are new. We have deployable mines, which we kind of saw in the sniper mission in the base game. We have the skitters, which are scout units that can attach to other units as a turret, and they're adorable little crabs, and I love them.
They're so annoying, though.
They're so cute.
So many of them.
We have Goliaths, which are just giant super hunters, and they walk around on all fours, and they're really, really terrifying. So that's fun. And then we have some sentinels in this mission. We have the controller sentinel, which is kind of the main sentinel for this mission. You have to fight 5 of them.
8. Well, yeah, it's for each point
Each
you have
point.
to capture. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have front shields. You have to hit it from the back. Kind of similar mechanics to the Enforcer from Halo 2. And
the front shield is pretty tough.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to kill it by just doing the
you
front
have
shield.
to you your forces around it so
Yeah,
that
you gotta,
it turns its back.
You gotta sacrifice some dudes.
Yeah, I dispersed my units around it almost like a circle, so no matter what, we were hitting it. But yeah, you do have to sacrifice some units. The next one is the Retriever Sentinel, which is the boss for this mission. He comes out at the very end and he wrecks your shit. If you don't remember, the Retriever Sentinel was that big Sentinel boy that was running around the map in the second to last mission of the main game.
Mm-hmm.
The Halo.
The Halo. Yeah, he's the big boy. The biggest boy. And then we have the Aggressor Sentinels. These are the ones we kind of see in all Halo games. They're just kind of the normal ones. And they kind of come here and there to help support the other 2 main Sentinels. And that is the new stuff! Wow!
Very nice. There might be, the Aggressors, they're there's different sizes of them.
Yeah, there's a medium-sized one, isn't there?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a different, class of Sentinel, or if for some reason they're just different. They look different. So, anyway. There are quite a few Sentinels to deal with, and I was trying to figure out on this mission, why are the Sentinels, pissed off at the Banished, but the Banished are using Forerunner technology? That was a little bit of confusing to start with, and then it seemed to make sense towards the end of the mission. I mean, we'll get there, but we have this third faction to deal with once again.
It might be just a holdover from Enduring Conviction glassing part of the arc.
It could be.
They're still allied against them aggressively because of it.
Just don't fuck with me. Just nobody fuck with anything on this on the arc. We're gonna come for you. That could be it. All right. Why don't you start us off with the mission, David? So take us from our like. It's not a cutscene, but it's a gameplay cutscene. But I don't know. It uses some interesting.
There's a weird
techniques.
there's a weird little intro here that I think is from gameplay, but it's essentially an ODST drop. It's pretty cool. I kind of like it. It starts off with kind of like a drone kind of reconning an area on the arc, on like the North Spire, it says, and an area that's shielded and they can't see it and they don't understand what's going on. Why is this cloaked? So like obviously this is bad. We're sending in some ODSTs to check this out and shut down the grid or shut down the cloak so we can see what the Banished are doing inside it. That's pretty much the setup of the mission. So you ODST drop in, your unit assembles, and you kind of just make your way. There's lots of dialogue actually between Vaughn and Quinn. I think there's the other, I can't remember at the top of my head, and the rest of the team. But like these two members are just quipping back and forth for the most of the mission, which is good. They keep it a bit of dialogue. Yeah, kind of wish there was more. They kind of fleshed this team out a bit more, but again,
it seems like it's detached from everything else. You know, like there was no Cutter or Isabel or anything in here. It was just okay. This is just an ODST mission. You guys go out and do this.
I thought that was jarring too, but because you're talking to the Spirit of Fire, but not any named character on it, and that probably makes sense when you think about like. That's a base of operations for like a military campaign that is probably fighting battles all over the arc. So like Cutter's not going to be overseeing them all. I think that kind of makes sense from that like logically when you kind of think about it. But I agree that like it feels so cut off because of that, because we don't have the links to the card. I mean, maybe maybe Isabel should be involved in here somewhere. The AI could do a bit of everything. But anyway, that's just us griping. So you get your hero squad, your ODSTs, and you have like a narrow kind of walkway as the mission just kind of directs you. You can see already that you have a big ass map, and there's lots more to be revealed. Yeah, control points around it, all that's kind of available, and some colors, some nice colors are on this map that mean you're going to get fucked up. So you kind of start walking up a little bit, and there's a bit of dialogue around. You see a new sentinel kind of flying overhead. And it goes down and it immediately attacks some Banished forces and just wipes them out. And your squad is like, oh, we're not dealing with that. Keep running. So you kind of run up a little bit forward again, and Vaughn kind of says, we can accept the same kind of hospitality. Let's keep the Banished handle it for now. And you kind of move yourself forward, and you find some Hellbringers running after two squads, and they pretty much get caught between you and them, and they just get roasted. And the Hellbringers join your team, and they're called India Company. So we've heard of these before. They're spread out.
India was originally in Halo Wars, I believe.
It was one of the companies, and in a similar style mission where you had to go and rescue units from India Company, with ODSTs actually. In fact, if you remember, that was
flood missions, I believe.
It was, yeah. Fucking India Company again, huh? Can't get it right. Always needs to be rescued. But I actually like doing that. I like the free units you get out of rescuing them from the map and stuff. I think that's cool. Especially I love overclocking my population cap. It feels so satisfying just to see that. It's like beating the game. Do you know what I mean? That's good. It's like little small victories for me. So he kind of says, we're spread out on the way down. We didn't want to give the Banished a bigger target to hit when they were dropping. So that kind of makes sense, which makes you feel that like this was a way bigger operation than just one squad of ODSTs thrown in to find out what's going on, because you have like obviously large forces scattered around.
But that's not clear on the setup.
Not at all. You don't really know the scope of what it is you're trying to do here, or how you're going to achieve it. But anyway, the Hellbringers join you. You kind of move your way around up the map again. There's only one way to go, and then you meet some Marines who are garrisoned, and they're being attacked by the new controller type sentinel. And this guy's cool looking. He's got a big shield on the front of him. He kind of looks like the sentinel from Halo 2 that picks up vehicles and crushes you. I'm forgetting its name.
Enforcer,
there we go. Kind of looks like that with the double kind of like sided shield in front of its face. in a circle. It's a really cool design, to be honest. I really like it. And pretty much you get a little tutorial here about the fact that your ODSTs are equipped with an EMP, which is like an ordnance that drops down from the Spirit of Fire, and it just stuns enemy units.
Well, it knocks down shield or health too, from what I remember.
It does. I think it does a chunk of damage and kind of stuns them. So you pretty much do that, and it teaches you to kind of move behind your units behind the shield and just shoot it in its ass. That's pretty much what you do. And as you're doing that, some Wolverines rock up from India Company, and they start helping you, and then they pretty much join you then again. And
Wolverines are pretty good in this mission. They come in pretty handy.
They can, because obviously there's a lot of Sentinels and a lot of a couple of aerial units too. So with your new forces, you now move your way forward, and you find a little kind of a controller that you use, like a toggle, a switch. So you switch that on, and you get a little hologram, and it's I don't know exactly who it is. It just says Warlord, doesn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a brute warlord just kind of mounting off about that he's noticed that there's humans in the area. They must be trying to breach our cloaking fields.
I have the dialogue here. Let me just read it for you. It says,
go for it.
So it's like it's interrupted into his conversation. So it's it just starts. We'll answer to Atriox. Next, Colony has new orders for us. Our engineers have activated the cloaking field over our operation site using the nearby control towers. Our orders are to hold fast and stop the controller sentinels from taking back the control towers. So that's why the sentinels are pissed off, is because the engineers are overriding stuff for them. The cloaking field must remain activated to keep our operation hidden from the humans. We have reports of possible human activity nearby. They must not breach the cloaking fields. Failure will not be tolerated. So he drops at the very beginning. He says Atriox, but then he also says Colony. What the hell is Colony? We don't know, but we'll find out eventually.
He's super cool.
Mm-hmm. We'll save that for next episode.
Yeah. So then you get like a little cutscene where a controller comes in and starts attacking the hologram, which kind of lets you kind of move your forces behind and take it down pretty easily. And then that kind of introduces you to the mechanic of distracting the sentinels using holograms. So you obviously have the hologram leader power that I never used properly at all.
Right. Well, they actually explain it here. Oh, you didn't? You don't use it properly on this mission? Is that what you mean? Or you hadn't before?
I just suck at it.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't before, and even like it was only when I was watching recap videos and I realized, okay, you place the area marker over your units, it decoys those units, and then you move your decoys away. Never copped that. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I thought it would deploy a decoy in that area as opposed to choose. I don't know. I'm an idiot.
I assumed the same thing originally too, so it didn't. It's not well explained.
Yeah, I didn't really know what it was doing. So I just pretty much brute forced a lot of these sentinels by sacrificing units to distract them instead of using the decoy for, I think, the one function it was designed for, which is this mission.
But it essentially doubles your units if you kind of cluster everybody in a small spot, and then it'll.
Do your decoys do damage?
And they do damage too.
Do they take? Do they?
Oh,
can they
I'm not sure.
Kill?
They take. I think they take damage.
They take damage for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think that they dish it out. But it just makes it so it looks like your army is bigger.
Cool. So you then go to a little teleporter and teleport out right on top of a base, which is funds. So there's a controller sentinel here, so you obviously leave him and let him like attack the banished forces and take out the wraith and stuff. And you kind of just take out the base and can take him out while he's distracted, and then you get yourself a fine base to kind of build up, as well as the very first capture point is right beside that base. So that's kind of where the mission takes a different kind of stage now, where obviously it's about base building, and it's also about capturing these specific points.
Perfect.
And when you do, it has a trigger, and it triggers a control sentinel to come over and attack you, and that's pretty much the premise of the rest of the mission. So I'll leave it over to Colin there now if you want to talk about stuffs.
Yeah, no, that was a good setup. Thank you. There's the A, B, C, D. So there's 5 points that you need to go capture, and each time, as David just said, as you capture one of them, then one of these controller sentinels gets pissed off at you and leaves its post and slowly floats over. And there's 5 of them posted around that final terminal that you need to push at the very end of the mission. Krista, why don't you take us through your approach, and maybe
Sure.
we'll just chime in, because I feel like this could run long if we all go through our individual runs. But yeah, why don't you take us through kind of what you did from the start here?
Yeah, no problem.
We already know you didn't do it properly. So.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
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 So basically, once I get my main base, I started ramping up production. I actually did use Marines quite a bit.
They come in handy.
They do. I upgraded them all the way, and I had Marines around. And then, of course, I focused on turning out Hornets and Vultures pretty quickly, and also Nightingales.
okay.
So I turned all those out. I made sure to kind of set as many Marines in the garrisons around my base as possible. Of course, I put siege turrets on the back 2 turrets of the base, all that kind of fun stuff.
Nice.
When it came to the points themselves, I captured like 2 or 3 right off the bat, and then I went around and cleared the rest of the map of bases and stuff like that.
Do you remember which ones you went after first?
The one...
Did you go down? Did you go to the right?
The one right next to the base. Let me see.
Because they have them listed in A, B, C, and D in E order, but I feel like you don't.
I think
that
I
doesn't
actually
make no
did.
sense to go in that order.
I think I
'cause
actually
B is
did
first-
A, B, C.
Oh no, A is the first one.
Yeah, I think I did
A
A,
is
B,
the first
C.
one.
I think.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
because they make like a little triangle, and they're the closest ones to your base, really. And then the other 2 are kind of farther away at the edge of the map. So I kind of just went around and cleared the map of in other structures and other bases to ramp up production, and then of course turned out my armory, upgraded that to max, and got all of those.
Did you go after the other? There's 2 bases, 2 banished bases.
Yeah, I ended up
One
getting
kind
both of them.
below. Yeah. So
one was in like a pit, and the other one was by like C, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
In the top corner of the
They were
map.
both on like each major, like left and right of the map, kind of is around
Right.
where they stand.
Well, kind of like down from where you start, and then to the right
Yeah.
is the other one.
Yeah.
That lower base really, really pumped out armies for me.
Yes.
Like I got almost nothing from the top, but the bottom was like almost a constant. Every just waves of like a solid army coming towards me.
Yeah, and I had that issue too. So I would be like going back to my base with kind of my horde to defend it when I saw a bunch of shit coming towards it, and I'm like, oh shit. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to clear out the other 2 bases, to make sure that wasn't happening while I was capturing the last 2 points. And I didn't remember the Retriever Sentinel did its thing, but it helped me there too, because I didn't have a lot of banish to deal with. I don't think I had.
Did you turtle a decent amount to start with, Krista?
Yeah, a bit. I think I captured the first point with just some Marines and some Hornets. And then I ended up with like 9 Vultures or something like that. Yeah, Vultures are great for base destroying, because you all see their lasers lock onto the base, and you're like, oh man, this place is fucked, and then it just dies.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. I went through.
What leader powers did you use?
So I used the new bombing thing a lot. The scatter bomb or whatever it is. Let me look it up. We have it in the notes. There are notes here. Yeah, scatter bomb.
Yeah.
I used scatter bomb, restoration drones, and I think I did the Grizzly Battalion twice.
Nice.
I ended up losing my first set of Grizzlies, but
Me too.
Yeah, the second set I ended up dropping when the Retriever Sentinel was around, kind of fucking with my units. But back on topic, I cleared out the map, I took those other 2 bases, and I took the other 2 points, and got rid of the Sentinels. And then the Retriever Sentinel came out, and it was just kind of a bit of a cluster.
Yeah, that end fight is a little weird. David, before we talk about that, any other, I guess, main differences from Chris's
Not really.
approach?
I did very similar, except I mostly went all ground with this. Actually, I tried to use a few mantises because
Yeah.
I'm not a huge mantis fan in the
Right,
FPS games,
that's
but
right.
like they surprised me there. I totally forgot they were in this game in any way, so I pumped them out too. I had a good
It's weird
mix
having
of units.
mantises or manti, I think I used to call them manti and cyclops.
And cyclopses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a mix, and I tried a whole bunch of stuff, 1 or 2 scorpions, and dropped a ton of ODSTs just because I'm me. So I had a lot of ODSTs, a lot of and some grizzlies. And it was fun. It was great. I kind of had 2 armies, one to kind of hold back the flood, while my other one kind of probed around the map and kind of looked for things. But no, it was pretty fun. I actually captured D&E at the same time. And
Really?
I kind of triggered
Nice
that.
multitasking.
Which is very unlike me. But let's say I cleared off everything around E, but I didn't have a lot of forces left. So I'm like, I can't really fight a controller like this. So I just waited, and then like captured two at the same time, and then kind of brought my forces back. But it was cool. It was really fun. The retriever was interesting as well because obviously the drops.
Well, let's
like
wait
a
on the
shield.
retriever. Let's wait
You
on the
wanna wait?
retriever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What about
no
India
main
Company?
differences.
Did you go around and get
No,
India Company?
they all died.
They did.
all died. Yeah.
There's
Just
like that one point
whenever
where
those
the Nightingale calls for help, and then there's a countdown. Like, come and get me.
Yeah. I don't know what the first one is, but I never found them.
There's some
I remember-
Wolverines.
It's some Wolverines. Yeah. Oh, I did find them actually in the end. Sorry, I assumed that they were destroyed, that it had a timer, because when the first one when that one popped, I was like, I have no units. I just couldn't get anything over near that area in the map.
This is kind of in the center, and they're in a little bubble shield. But there is some sentinels up there to deal with, so it's a little bit of a pain. But yeah, I'd say they're worth getting because I felt like Wolverines were pretty solid in this mission.
Yeah.
Any other differences?
No, I pretty much did the same. Well, obviously they're in different units, but pretty fun stuff. I dropped the bunker. The bunker was really cool. Like I said before, the Grizzlies.
What about the
is
Goliaths?
incredible.
Did you find those things to be difficult at all?
Not really, because I had such a big force when I was taking, and they just run at you, and like you just hit Y and shoot off all their cluster missiles and all the whatever the Y ability is for the Scorpions that the Grizzlies have as well.
It's
It
really
tends to
nice when
shot,
you
I think
have
it is.
air units because they don't do shit.
That's
Right.
also a good point.
I like the design of it. I think it's cool. It's a cool idea to have like a super hunter, and like,
it makes total
more
sense.
aggressive.
Lore wise, yeah.
Yeah, when you think about what hunters are, yeah, it's makes sense. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I think it describes them somewhere in the logs, Phoenix logs, as like more feral Legolo, which is interesting. And they're just more pissed off, and so they form this super hunter unit. Super interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, Krista, what did you think about those? And it's probably a leader power of some sort, but the engineer clusters that would come in,
oh yeah, it's
'cause I played
a
on
healing.
Heroic.
It's a healing leader power.
It's super
that we're
annoying.
gonna like. It's basically the same as our restoration drones. It's just Covenant themed. It's a card you can get in Blitz and stuff like that, and maybe we'll see it in Awakening the Nightmare. Maybe. But yeah, it's really annoying when the leader is healing, but I appreciate the aesthetic.
Well, so like I would have an army come at one of my bases, a decent sized army, and then they would have like these engineers, like 10 engineers on top of them, just all healing everybody. And it seemed to be like there was like a central engineer that like the other engineers were healing or something like that. I don't know. It was a weird animation, I thought. I mean, it was cool, but it was also super annoying because you'd be pounding these vehicles that were under its protection, and they really wouldn't take much damage.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun to see, but also not fun to see.
Did you see the laser he had as well, where it starts from like 4 different points and goes inward?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, I think
It
so.
made me angry.
Mm-hmm.
No, that shit's unnormal.
No.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you notice any other leader powers?
No, just those two.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I did it a couple different ways. I went down the base that's just below B right away seems super powered when I went down there right away. So I kept my distance because I think I went down after I got the second. Well, it's right by that second control point, and if you keep going south from where the way the map is situated right away, then I didn't have many units, and all of a sudden they just sent up a Goliath, like came running at me in a bunch of skitters, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So then I changed my tactics from there and kind of creeped more like into the center and found some India Company, and then went after C. I think Krista said she kind of got that initial triangle, and then from there I spread out a little bit. And I found like a lot of my Actually, on both normal and heroic, more so on heroic, but my army would get wiped out quite a bit or thinned out quite a bit during larger encounters. So I'd have to kind of go back to square one and build up quite a bit. Did you guys take advantage of the turrets that were around the map at all? David, did you use those turret locations?
There's not. I didn't find too many, to be honest. I think the first one near your first base was key, especially for like defending attacks on your base. But I don't think I built anything else around.
Yeah, there's a couple more. I know of at least one other. There might be two others that come to mind, but they are. Oh, actually, there's one right by where the retriever fight is too. So yeah, there's at least three. There might be a couple more. Krista, did you? So there's one of the objectives was there's other. I forget what it's called in the objectives. Let me see really quick. I think there are like holographic points that you need to get.
Oh, I didn't do any of that. No.
Okay, they're kind of hidden. I mean, they look like the original one that you activate, that original terminal that you activate that then brings up the Warlord hologram. But there's so much just kind of crap on the map that they're a little hard to see. So they're kind of on opposite corners of the map, and a Warlord will pop up when you activate them, and he won't really give you a ton of interesting information. There's one where they talk shit about grunts. And then I'm forgetting what the other one was, and I didn't see it in the. I didn't write it down, and I didn't see it in the transcript. But it's fun, I guess, to find those and know that they're using that technology for other things. All right, should we talk about the big retriever battle?
Yeah.
Let's do it. The big beefy boy.
Big boy.
Krista, what was your approach on this thing?
Hit him with things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about all you can do, right? I mean, he every once in a while gets like covered in aggressor sentinels, and you have to kind of move back and hit them from a distance, and then they go away, and then you do another wave, and it's just kind of that over and over again. And the retriever sentinel will wipe out a good amount of your units, but you throw down a couple grizzlies, you throw down some ODSTs, you don't really need to go back to your base to beat him, even on heroic. So
yeah,
it wasn't that big of a to-do, really.
Yeah, as long as you keep sending units their way. Doesn't he do like some headbutt right away?
He like slams the ground.
He does a weird pulse. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets all angry, kind of rears back, and then slams you, and then keeps shooting you. And then once it reaches a certain point, like you take its shields down, and then you take some of its health, and then it has that swarm that pops up.
Yeah.
It's super annoying. And then like the initial swarm, I forget if it's 2 or 3 times that it happens, maybe more.
I think it's 3.
But the initial swarm just kind of stays around him, and it heals his shields back up, which is cool. But then later on, it will start to move towards you, and the swarm, if you're in the swarm's radius, the swarm will just wipe out anything that's underneath it, kind of from what we saw in those earlier missions from Halo Wars, the main campaign.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to back away slowly and run away, and then it has these little aggressor. It says, take out these aggressor sentinels so that you take down the swarm shield. So, just keep your army near the swarm, but not in the swarm, and your army should target those aggressors. And then when they go down, then you can go back and take out the big boy. David, did you have any, I guess, just thoughts and feelings about this little boss battle that they throw at you at the end?
No, other than the fact that I shouldn't have brought Cyclopses that can't shoot up to that battle, and they just stand there like lemons.
Like lemons.
Other than that, no. Just stand there like a lemon. It was cool. I actually lost a ton of guys in the first shield wave because I wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh crap, I actually have to control my units here and move them back and move them forward. Thought that was kind of cool. Introduce a kind of boss fight style mechanic. I liked that they did that. It was cool. It was a fine little battle. And wasn't too difficult. Didn't last too long. But no, it was grand.
So as I'm thinking about it, the banished, well, at the very end of the mission, once you defeat this thing, you so let's see, you do have to activate this terminal. So all 5 of the aggressor or of the controller sentinels, 1 per control point, is they're protecting this control or this terminal that you activate. As soon as you activate that, then does that take the cloak down? Does that make sense? Or does it just give you access to this area, potentially? Anyway,
I'm not
you
sure.
you push the button, and then the aggressor comes out, gets all pissed off, and then you defeat it, and then the mission ends, and it says that the banished are trying to access a ship, which is cool because that makes sense, right? That's one of the things that we talked about at the very end of Halo Wars. Like, well, what are the banished going to do? What's Atriox going to do? They're on the Ark. They got no way off the Ark. They got to find a way to get off. So yeah, it makes sense that they would be going after some sort of a way off with this ship. So I thought that was cool, and that's what was being cloaked. So yeah, so it must make sense that this aggressor sentinel was protecting probably the ship that's inside. That we'll find out here what happens in the next mission. Does that make sense to you guys, like from a lore story standpoint?
Yeah, there's always weird Forerunner shit going on.
Yeah. Yep. In general, Forerunners just don't like you messing with. Don't touch their buttons. They don't like that.
Oh, I'll touch
Doesn't
some
feel good.
buttons.
All right. If there's not anything else, any trivia points you guys want to chat about?
There's not really. All it really kind of says is obviously this retriever has a shield when the previous ones in the game don't. That's just the only kind of difference. There's one controller sentinel is always sent out to the control tower when you capture it, but it won't happen if you choose to destroy the controller first before capturing the control tower. So that you can go to that point where they're all coming from and just fight them.
Oh.
Which I did near the end. So like my last one didn't have a controller because I killed them.
Nice.
But there is a shit ton of sentinels over there. If you do.
Yeah, there are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's nothing really else. That's kind of it.
Hey.
Cool. All right, what do we have for the there are 2 Phoenix logs. I wrote down their location.
One's by the base and one's by that like middle structure, right?
Yeah, so there's one in the middle structure by those Wolverines that I mentioned that are in the middle, and then there's like towards the top of the map, so not right by the base, there's like 2 garrison towers and a bunch of like random banished, and it's up in between there, and you kind of have to do some exploring to get to it. You
have to destroy
really
like a
apart.
building, right?
No, it's just
Okay.
there. Well,
You can destroy the banished
I think it was
buildings.
just
It's
there.
like around them.
yeah. You might have to destroy them to get to it, but anyway, you do have to do a little exploring to find that second one. What any good stuff in there, Krista?
Yeah, we have a new commander. It is Balkaris, Brute Captain, record date 4/1/2559. Forticus, I think, is the name.
Forticus? Nice.
We have received the Hiragaki you sent us and have already put them to work around the operation site. I have tasked a Sangheili to look after them, for I cannot stomach being around them for long. Simply the sight of a Sangheili communicating to those creatures with strange hand signals repulses me. I often need to punt 3 or 4 short ones into a deep chasm before my mind settles again. I fear I would need to kick 1,000 on going into the depths to restore my peace of mind after meeting our new commander. While stationed at the raid camp, I heard utterings about a Lekgolo who has risen up the ranks to the standing of actually having Atriox's ear. I know these rumors to be true, and it calls itself
That's cool.
Colony. I have only glimpsed its hulking form from a distance, but the others swear they actually heard it speak, or something close to a sound. I can tell many of the younger brutes are nervous at its presence and guard their conversations, for if they are truly a hive mind, then surely all eels hear what one another hears. Atriox appears to have tasked Colony with investigating ancient technologies here and restoring them for our own use. He, they, whatever it is, seems to have curbed its feasting habits and has already made progress in establishing a cloaking field over the site. Such power makes me nervous. The Lekgolo are formidable fighters, but sometimes I wish the Covenant had left them burrowing away amongst the relics like the worms they still are. Still, if it gives us the chance to strike back at the humans, then I welcome it. But it is not the natural way of things. I must end my transmission now. I swear I heard something slithering behind me. So this is interesting. because the Lekgolo can... The Covenant had used the Lekgolo on the Dreadnought in the middle of High Charity in order to kind of figure out what the Dreadnought is and what it's doing and all of its functions, because the Lekgolo kind of eat their way through Forerunner stuff to kind of figure out how they work. So that's kind of... It makes sense that Colony is tasked with investigating Forerunner technology, because that's kind of what the Lekgolo do. So they eat Forerunner technology and then they like poop out data, basically, is what they do. I'm not even kidding. So that is in Contact Harvest if you want to learn more about that, but that is why this kind of makes sense lore-wise. So we have...
I forgot to mention that Colony does pop up in the mission.
Yeah, he does.
He taunts us at some point. I think it's around when you save the Nightingale, or maybe when you guys don't save the Nightingale. He says, humans, we will end you. We will bring finality. Ooh. That's it. Just a good old taunt by the giant wormy thing.
I like the idea of a hunter, like, named character-esque person.
It's so cool. I love hunters. I think they're super cool. I'm so happy that we have one as, like, a villain. I hope this kind of alludes to hunters being more prominent in coming Halo games that might need mini bosses every once in a while. All right, let me get through this other one. So this is Balkaris, the Brute Captain. Attention, Pack Brothers, the next Jirohani that comes to me asking for Ungoi replacements to bolster the ones he has misplaced will lose his tongue to my blade. I understand patience is troublesome for warriors such as us, but hurling the whelps at the cloaking field to watch them fizzle and pop is a waste of resources.
Oh, man. Those poor grunts.
True, it is amusing, and I'm willing to turn a blind eye to the occasional accident. But as disgustingly numerous as the Ungoi are, our forces are limited until the operation is over. Besides, the grating squealing of the pathetic ones are likely to attract unwanted attention of the Sentinels, which will slow down our plans. Until the operation is over, the cloaking field must remain in place, and we must hold here to ensure its function. Despite their weaknesses, the humans seem to have eyes everywhere, and they must not find out our plans. Save your bloodlust for the enemy or strive for patience until the operation is complete. We are close now, and it will not be long before we can indulge ourselves again. Stay your hand, Pack Brothers, and state your urges with the knowledge that we will soon have vengeance on the humans for the loss of the enduring conviction. So they're just punting grunts into the field just for fun. Having a good old time.
Isn't that wild?
They're such assholes. Holy shit.
Well, it's like they're worse. They're treated worse than dogs. Like these grunts are fighting alongside you, and there's zero loyalty towards them. It's just bizarre. I'm trying to like put it in the context. Like, what would that be like? That would be like if for some reason you're in a battle. You find yourself in a battle, and in your squad are like a bunch of raccoons. Or something like that, like little animals that you despise that are somehow on your team, but when nobody's looking, you'll just punt them into a big hole. It's bizarre.
They're not very nice.
Also, what kind of fucked up cloaking shield
I know
and burns you? That's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, pretty nuts. All right, thanks, Krista. Now we got community time. David, what's on Facebook?
Community time. I have to say, Colin, I'm impressed with this one. This is pretty good. Yeah, I like this question. We have Mr. Colin Perkins, the admin, September 11th at 8:05 p.m. You're a veteran ODST with over 100 deployments under your belt. What's your pre-drop ritual? Question for Mission Debrief, Halo Wars 2 Gatecrashers mission. That's pretty cool. It's a nice picture too. Good job, Colin.
So the inspiration for this is the inspiration was one of the ODSTs at the very beginning says that drop makes 200, and I thought that was interesting. Like 200 drops, that's a lot of drops.
That's a lot
of drops.
Mm-hmm. And that person
Fair
survives. I'm trying to find the name here. I'll find it by the time you're done reading.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Patrick says, Tighten and check gear, comm check, visual confirmation of my team. Finally, I pray to the almighty Beard King that he may watch over me and safe drop. Of course I will, I love drops. As well, my teammates' final prayers to destroy the enemy scum, as Oni calls them the Krister Army. Boom!
Yeah.
May the war begin. Grayson says, crack knuckles obnoxiously, pull back the slide on the AR and pistol at least twice, and then have a wise ass remark right as I jump. Nice. Richard says 5 knuckle shuffle. Nestor says get set for combat drop. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, nice. This is pretty good. Just a picture of Nathan Fillion of Wolverine touching it, and you know, he's gorgeous. Halo 5 Nathan Fillion, of course. Dave says a shot of whiskey and a wank. All right.
Sounds good.
Lucas says, and make sure all gear is secured, weapons are loaded, and then I'll take a nice nap in my drop pod till it's time to shoot some aliens. Zane, the light is green and very mean. George says, go to the head, beat my meat for post-nut clarity.
Everyone's beating their
the vibe
meat.
I'm
Jesus. Dude, what?
Yeah.
Those ODST
Sorry, guys.
pods must be nasty.
Nasty.
Don't put a
They're only
black
single
light in
use,
there.
Krista.
Yeah.
Nobody's reusing those things. Post a pic of my battle rifle on waypointogram, says Daniel. Jason says 2 lines of blow off a stripper's back and a 5th whiskey to wash it all down. Jesus. Jed says watch a compilation of motivational speeches given by the late Sergeant Avery Johnson. Smoke 2 cigars, grab my 2 sticks and a rock, and yell, "Get tactical Marines." That's really good, Jed. Nice one. He got like Jed. As long as he got a lot of some likes for Jed. Jared says drinking whatever passes for monster energy in the 25th century, so that when I land, I'm all hopped up like a Viking berserker. Lance says check my gear and go use the restroom so I don't go in my pod during the drop. I like it, the sanitary option, Lance. Richard then chimes in. Honestly, I'd make sure I'd gotten literally all the shit out of my butt. Maybe listen to a little sex. Sex. Okay. Chris says check all my gear, take a poop and pee. Once in the pod, take a deep breath, let it all out, and prepare to drop. Ethan plugs my phone with aux cord attached to my helmet, blow my air holes out with some sexy voice of Colin Perkins with the mission briefing. Oh, look at that,
Hey-o.
Ethan. Good Colin love. And Frederick says finally, overly clean my guns, which could be anything that you want it to be. There you go. That's pretty good, Colin. I like that.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine how much how jacked up you got to be to hop in one of those things. Like, oof, that would not be fun. So the officer that had 200 drops was Warrant Officer Quinn. She's the one that chimes in with 200 drops. Mm-hmm.
Nice, yeah.
Did you guys know? So here, I'll list these guys' names off really quick. So it's Major Vaughn, Warrant Officer Quinn, Petty Officer Gruce, Corporal Turpin, and Lance Corporal Sparks. So that's all of the members of your hero unit, the 5
Sunray.
ODSTs that are in Sunray 1-1. Did you guys notice? I should have mentioned this earlier, but it looked like they were the 5 units were targeting enemies separately. You guys zoom in to see, or if they're they're not always shooting at the same unit. It looked like they were kind of spreading out. So I don't know how that works, but it seemed to me that each one of them was shooting banished separately, but they were one unit.
Oh,
anyway,
that's cool.
I thought that was kind of cool. All right, Krista, what did Discord have to say?
Discord got off track like really quickly, so I only have a couple.
Oh, Discord.
Listen to a mix of Sabaton, Rush Hard Bass, and Rock. Right before we drop, I say, "Buckle up, chuckle fucks," and we're dropping into hell. And then I say it with the. Then I drop with the slug shotgun and a Kimbo. Yeah, Akimbo auto pistols and a pair of drumsticks. Note for Krista, Sabaton is Sabaton. Cool, I got it.
Isn't Akimbo just dual wielding?
I think so.
That's what I thought. So yeah.
Nate says, sing Moskaku by... Oh my god, I can't say that. By something con before I drop in. Pope says, do a quick gear check, send a prayer to the good Lord, so I don't have to do any flying. Let me find the others. Okay. Hector says, wake up, clean my weapons, set up my pod, shoot my rival, steal his awesome-looking sidearm, and go feet first into hell. And then, not get shot is one of the big ones, to be honest. Yeah. Motivation. Blue Calx says, the only essential part of being an ODST that everyone forgets about, of course, shoving a cork up your ass so you don't lose your breakfast, to the extreme G of hitting the ground in a SOEIV.
So yeah.
Cal says, I think ODST chow is chemically designed to either harden in the stomach or easily digest, so they don't have that problem. Alright, and that's what I got, Discord. Discord got off track. They talked about me instead, which I'm very happy about, actually.
Well, I'm glad
yeah, they made me happy. They always make me happy. They're nice people over there. Nice people. Strange, but nice.
Thanks, everybody, for participating as always. And that will do it for our debriefing of the Gatecrashers mission from Halo Wars 2. On the next episode, we'll be playing the second mission from Operation Spearbreaker, Not on My Watch. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. And don't forget that free audiobook trial. Visit audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.